As simple as the Egyptians dressed during 2613 to 2181, we still utilize the same type of material and style they did. As the ancient Egyptians, both men and women wore knee-length dresses made of cotton and linen and fastened around the waist by a belt made from cloth or leather. On the other hand, the upper class wore more ornamentation on their clothing. As previously stated, most Egyptians wore the same type of clothing, but now the upper class has started to use jewelry as a way to express themselves, such as by wearing rings, bracelets, collar pieces, crowns, and amulets. Women stood out from class to class as each social class was determined by hierarchy. Wealthy women wore long dresses that could either start from the breast down to her knees or from her waist to her knees, and they also chose whether they wanted sleeves or no sleeves. While the lower class women would wear skirts from their waist down to their ankles, children of both sexes did not wear any clothes growing up. They started wearing clothes when they hit puberty. Workers who worked by the Nile River washing other people's clothes would usually wear no clothes. They wore no clothes as they saw it as a hassle, as they were in water constantly. In the following time period, 2181 to 2040, during this time, the Old Kingdom collapsed from a 200-year-old drought caused by severe climate change, causing a 50-year failure for water at the Nile River, causing havoc, killing many in famine. The fall of the Old Kingdom unleashed some bad changes to Egypt, like weakening the central power, the increased attacks from foreign marauders. The diversification of religion occurred among the people that survived, and lastly, the decline of the pharaoh's power happened. On the other hand, it stayed roughly the same in the world of fashion. Old Kingdom women were described to wear their hair below their ears, while in the Middle Kingdom women wore their hair on their shoulders. Higher Middle Kingdom women wore dresses made out of cotton, with decorated nettoline, with a clasped neckline. Dresses would now be made up of one long sheet of cotton material, which the woman herself would be wrapped around in and styled with a belt to her liking. On the men's side, they still wore simple kilts, which were just simple layered skirts that went down to the knees, the only difference being that there would be pleats on the front of their kilts, which showed power and luxury. There's no written information on how Egyptians pleated their clothes. There were some pictures of artwork on the walls of men and women with pleats in their clothes. The most popular garment during the Middle Kingdom was a triangular-shaped apron with triangular shapes on it. It was held on by a triangle-shaped belt that was made out of cotton, and it held the apron to their waist. The Middle Kingdom came to an end as quickly as it came to be. The end came because religious rulers struggled within themselves. As one of the rulers defeated another ruler in order to bring this to the attention of the other rulers that they should become one big kingdom again, but before they did that, the rulers' kingdoms were weak, as they were weak in the Middle Kingdom and was attacked quite often. So they all become one kingdom again, and it was called the New Kingdom. This was when Egypt entered its second intermediate kingdom period. The Hyksos ruled the bottom part of Egypt, and the Nubians took order of the top part. Hyksos helped advance Egypt with inventions like the horse-drawn war chariot, a scimitar-shaped sword, and a bronze dagger with a narrow blade. They innovated quite a lot by bringing new fruits and vegetables, bringing hunchback zebras, and brought the vertical loom. Sadly, they did not contribute anything towards fashion as they saw the way that the Egyptian culture was constructed and didn't want to change it up. They wanted to elaborate on what was previously constructed. Just after 20 years, the Prince of Thebes drove the Hyksos out of Egypt. A while back, before the Middle Kingdom, the king of Thebes killed the leader of the Hyksos, which was an attempt to leave them out of Egypt, but failed as they came back with the New Kingdom. This ignited the New Kingdom of Egypt, without the Hyksos, from 1570 to 1069 BC. Fashion advanced quite a fair bit. As advancements in clothes making have been implemented, the style of clothing from this era is highly regarded as the most popular in movies. No matter the era of Egypt it's surrounded by. This era will be called out and appreciated, as men wore pleated gowns and kilts, and women wore intricate dresses with embroideries and jewelry. In this era, the 18th, 19th, and early 20th dynasties of Egypt are where they stepped out and talked to other nations that were near them. During the latter half of the 20th dynasty, the power that priests held was so high that it at some point diminished the pharaoh's power. During the 18th dynasty, Ahmose-El acknowledged that the Hyksos were able to establish themselves so solidly because of the earlier Egyptian monarchy and their early inventions and innovations towards Egypt that helped them. In the long run, Ahmose-El took note of this and set up buffer zones along the border to ensure protection. Since Ahmose-El struggled with the Hyksos that he and his army came into contact with Palestine and Syria, he continued to campaign. He also led his military south, headed towards the kingdom of Kush in Nubia. When he died, he made sure he left behind a stable political and economic environment for the country. His successor would be his son Amenhotep-El. He maintained his father's policies and emulated him as a conductor in war, but only led military campaigns in Nubia. There aren't any records of him leading armies that his dad led in Palestine or Syria. Who knows for sure, as those regions were deemed secure during his ruling and his successors. He was more well known for his contributions to arts and religious developments. Amenhotep El also patronized the artist colony of Deir el-Medina, which were responsible for work done on the tombs where the great pharaohs were buried. He put all of his focus on creating temples, stelae, and borders. He held no serious attention to it and left them the same size without expansion. Up until his death, he was defined as the age of the artisan of Deir el-Medina. His name was honored by a funerary cult. He was succeeded by his son Thutmose El. He started a rebellion in Nubia, which disbanded after he went to the throne. Thutmose I went to personally kill the Nubian king and hung his lifeless body from the prow of his ship to warn others who rebel. He followed this up with expanding Egypt's hold on Nubia further south before taking a look at Palestine and Syria. Thutmose El added to the great temple of Karnak at Thebes, while also creating many other temples and monuments throughout the entirety of Egypt. He was succeeded by Thutmose II, but was barely known as he was overshadowed by his powerful half-sister Hatshepsut. Thutmose El was the son of Thutmose El with a lesser-known queen, while his half-sister was Thutmose I's fully planned first child, and she was in Thutmose I's will, but finding no proof that he left her anything. So Thutmose El married his stepsister, Hatshepsut, to make sure his succession was secured. There was no actual proof showing that Thutmose II had any power. He may have ordered his military to go to Syria, but they were not led by him. His wife/half-sister could have commissioned them, but it isn't for sure. Once Hatshepsut was in charge, she was regarded as the most powerful and successful of the New Kingdom monarchs. She oversaw a period of peace and prosperity and re-established trade relations with surrounding nations. She had one child with Thutmose II. He also had another child with another woman, whom he deemed his successor. Hatshepsut co-ruled with the child Thutmose III. She held more power, although against Thutmose II's wishes, and continued as she saw fit, until her death. She was responsible for more buildings being built in Egypt, more than any of the rulers, except for Ramesses the Great. She built such beautiful buildings and numerous that later pharaohs would try and claim as their own. Hatshepsut's name would be removed from all her successes, including her magnificent complex at Deir el-Bahri. It's suspected that Thutmose III removed her name in fear that it might spark more women to step up against future rulers. Seeing that someone else being queen is unnatural, so he wanted to maintain gender classes. So Thutmose III is the ruler who put the entire Egyptian empire together, and it would be maintained by his successors. He used the war chariot given from the Hyksos, used all the bronze weapons, and came up with the most superior tactics to defeat the surrounding nations and expand the Egyptian empire. It expanded further than any of the previous rulers' attempts at expansion. Following 20 years, he led at least 17 different military campaigns, conquering kingdoms from Libya to Syria, expanding Egypt's control into the south. His lettering tells his story completely. He is regarded as one of the best documented rulers after Ramesses II. His successor would be Amenhotep II, who inherited a strong and secure kingdom while also improving it. While he wasn't as active in his military campaigns like his father, he did get numerous building projects, got peace treaties, and got trade documents with other nations. His successor will be his son Thutmose IV, who was considered a usurper. Although he is the son of Amenhotep II, he followed in his father's footsteps by following his policies. And he is well known for restoring the Great Sphinx in Giza. His successor will be his son Amenhotep III, who was considered the most powerful rulers as he ruled over Egypt at one of the country's highest points culturally, politically, and economically. He used his wealth to better Egypt when dealing with other countries. He coaxed them into doing what he wanted. During this time, every priest of Ammonius was beginning to become wealthy. They were owning more land than the king, and they used it to enrich themselves. Amenhotep III tried to shrink their growing power by forming an alliance with a minor god, Ammonius, symbolized by a sun disk. His plan didn't work. It did elevate the god Aten, who would feature prominently in the ruling of Amenhotep III's son and his successors, who was Amenhotep IV, but he later changed his name to Akhenaten, the ruler best known for instituting monotheism in Egypt and banishing the old gods that were followed in the past. During this time, it was known as the Amara period because the capital in Egypt was moved from Thebes to modern-day Amara. He abolished the old religion, especially the cult of Ammonius, and made Aten the one true god. He built a new city for the capital to be moved into. His predecessor would be his son Tutankhaten, aka Tutankhamun. He moved the capital back to Memphis, also restored the religious center to Thebes, reopened temples, and brought back the old religion to Egypt. He initiated important reforms which stabilized the country. He was also best known for his amazing tomb discovery in 1922 by Howard Carter. He was also married to his half-stepsister, Enkhsenemen, until his death at 18. His predecessor would be his son Horemheb. He did as much as he could to wipe the Amarna period kings from Egyptian history by destroying all the written documentation and monuments. Inscriptions of Akhenaten. He also destroyed his temple at Karnak so good that there was no trace of it left behind. He honored the old religion of Egypt. While Akhenaten ruled, relationships with other nations left ancient Egypt in the par state. Horemheb restored Egypt to its presentable self. He couldn't raise it to the height he wanted to under Amenhotep III. He died without an heir and was succeeded by his vizier, who took the name of the throne, Ramesses I, who jump-started the 19th dynasty. I became a ruler at such an old age that he appointed his son, Seti I, as successor. He continued to build Egypt's temples and shrines, begun by Horemheb. Ramesses I gave the green light for his son Seti to carry out the military to win back territories lost during the ruling of Akhenaten. Seti continued to reformation and revision of Egypt. He added his touches to a bigger, grand project at Karnak, while grooming his successor for rule. His son Ramesses II is the best-known ruler of Egypt. He's associated with the unnamed Aegeotian ruler in the biblical book of Exodus and his depiction in films of that story. The real Ramesses II wasn't the ruler of the Exodus story. Many strong arguments have been discussed about this, like Ramesses II documented his time ruling thoroughly, and he left more monuments and writings behind than any of his past predecessors. He stopped an attack near the Sea Peoples and secured that side of the country from any further attacks. Ramesses II was depicted as a great hunter, a fierce king, an image he encouraged, even though he didn't lead that many campaigns after Kadesh. He lived to be 96. When he passed away, people couldn't recall a time when he wasn't king, so the news about his passing spread around quickly. And people were scared of who was going to rule over them as Ramesses II was gone. When Merinta became ruler unexpectedly, as he was the 13th son, he only became ruler because all his older brothers were dead. Merinta aligned himself with his father quickly as possible. He defeated the Libyans in battle and drove the invasion of the Sea People out of Egypt. He's the first mentioned, the people of Israel as a tribe. Amenmès took the spot of ruler, as he was most likely the son of Merinta, but he wasn't chosen to be a ruler. There was some evidence pointing at that Amenmès tried wiping Seti off the books. His time of death wasn't documented as he just disappeared from documentation in 1200 BCE, and Seti is ruling extended to 1197 BCE. Successor is now Merinta. He was crowned ruler at the age of 10 and then died at the age of 16. His stepmom, Tuzret, would take over. She ruled for 2 years before being succeeded. Setnakht would be the successor. He created the 20th dynasty, and the first thing he did as ruler was to stabilize the government, and records show results. Setnakht probably attacked the Sea People again, or he just repeated a story that bothered Egypt's past. The 20th dynasty started with Ramesses III, who was the last strong ruler of the New Kingdom. He maintained a strong centralized government, protected the borders. He tried to keep Egypt prosperous, but the empire kept slipping away from him. The offices of the ruler of Egypt no longer commanded the respect that it once had. Ramesses got shot at and was wounded. The attempt was organized by his lesser-known wives. He later died from his wounds. Ramesses IV became ruler only because all his other siblings were dead. He tried his best. Like the other rulers, he built a couple of projects. He did struggle to keep the empire from shrinking. He died later. Ramesses VI, the successor to V, wasn't any better. There were no accomplishments. He's best known for his tomb. There weren't any risks inside, but it was hidden earlier than Tutankhamun's, keeping it safe longer. He was succeeded by Ramesses VII, then Ramesses VIII. There is no information on him, including Ramesses IX. All the rulers struggled to maintain the empire in the way that other rulers did, and the way that they defended it from outside forces. The way that the New Kingdom fell, there was no stable, centralized government. Ramesses IX was buried, and whoever buried a king was crowned as ruler. The New Kingdom concluded in 1069 BCE. As there was minimal territory at the time of all this, there was no strong ruler, and no accomplishments were made, leading to the Egyptian empire being attacked. The straw that broke the camel's back was when the Persians attacked the Egyptian empire. After that, it never returned to its original state. The 30th dynasty succeeded in rewriting Egypt until Alexander the Great was defeated. But the only thing they used that the Egyptian empire used was the dynasty of the Ptolemies. Shortly after that, the coming of Rome would arrive. So the Egyptian empire had a lot of evolution throughout 2,000 years. Just like all things in life, everything must come to an end or change. The reason why this is important is because it's somewhat interesting to see how Egypt started as a small country turns into a bigger country, but starts to fall and gets rebranded in the way that they dress is recalled in future generations. Even like 6,000 years ago, it's still going to be recalled and reimagined.